Hello, dear students. This is Dr. Govind Saraswat, Assistant Professor in English from Government College, Digana. Dear students, in this lecture, we are going to talk about a literary type, a genre, short story. My intention is to make you aware about this literary type from the very beginning, even when it was not taken to be the short story the way we take it today. And then we will discuss the definition and some of the major characteristics of short story along with those who made this genre very popular around the globe with some practical examples also. So let's begin with the origin of short story. As I already suggested you that the short story as we take it today is not actually the short story from the very beginning. It, it existed in other forms. So the evolution of short story, we can say that it began even before humans could write. Its roots can be traced back to the oral storytelling tradition. The fact is that short prose fiction is nearly as old as language itself. Throughout human history, we can see that we have enjoyed various types of brief narratives. There are a lot of examples, such as anecdotes, moralizing fairy tales, folk tales, myths, allegorical romances, and historical legends also. But none of these constitutes a short story as it has been defined since the 19th century. But the thing is, they do make up a large part of the milieu from which the modern short story emerged. So, after this, let's define what short story is. There are several interpretations, several definitions, but the definition which I have chosen is given by Edgar Allan Poe, who is often given the credit of establishing a short story as a genre of literature. He defined it as a prose tale that can be read at one sitting from 1/2 hours to 2 hours, and that is limited to a certain unique or single effect to which every detail is subordinate. In this definition, Edgar Allan Poe, an American writer, he has suggested all the essential features that a short story should contain. So let's discuss the characteristics of the short story one by one. The first one is that it has a compact plot. Plot is the logical arrangement of the action. There may be many events, there may be many happenings, but the writer of a short story, he chooses only those things or events which can develop the plot the way he wants it to develop, and that it should have a it should be compact, it should have an organic unity, the unity which we humans have inside our body. Everything is essential, nothing is superfluous. So the plot should be like that, it should have nothing that can be eliminated, and it should not be like this, that something can be added. So it should be complete in itself. It should have a proper beginning, a middle, and an end. So after this, the second one is it has limited number of characters. Because it is not a novel, the short story writer has to develop the action uh, within few pages. So he does not have that kind of space that a novelist can afford. So he has to limit the characters also that partake in the action of a short story. For example, The Gift of the Magi has only two major characters, the husband Jim and his wife Della. And then uh, some more short stories are there prescribed in your syllabus. like A Cup of Tea, in which Rosemary fell and her husband and that little girl. So these three are the uh, main characters. So a short story has limited number of characters. Then the third one is conflict. Generally, it is called the soul of a short story, and this conflict can be internal or external. The protagonist or the central characters, they can be seen struggling because of this. Now, this struggle may be against the forces of nature, against society, or even against something inside himself or herself. For example, the conflict in The Gift of the Magi is that Della is very much concerned about the present which she can offer to her husband on that Christmas Eve. And inside her mind, she is struggling because she does not have that much money. What to do? The next day is Christmas, and she has planned that gift for so many months, and that is why she is weeping bitterly because uh, she feels that she has lost that opportunity. The conflict in The Nightingale and the Rose is that uh, love which the can human beings fail to value this abstract noun, whereas a bird like nightingale, it sacrifices its life in order to sing for this abstract noun, love. Then the next feature is curiosity. If you are not curious from the very beginning, you will not read the short story. So, the writer should have that skill to arouse the curiosity of the readers. He should arrange his material in such a way that may create a kind of suspense also. I am reminded here of a short story uh, w- entitled The Open Window. From the very beginning, the readers they feel very curious that how the writer has started that story. We feel uh, like the central character, why the window remains always open, what is the reason behind this, and what happens afterwards. So he seems the readers, they are transported where the writer wants them to transport, so they remain captive. So this is what we mean uh, by arousing the curiosity of the readers, to attract their attention in such a way that they feel captive, and they want to read the story up to the very end. Last feature is the use of wit. It is very important aspect of the short story because the success of a short story rests upon this feature. The writer should use his wit in such a way that gives uh, a unique feeling, a different feeling to the readers. Like uh, he changes everything because of this feature. Like uh, we we feel that the climax should be like this, and the ending will be like this, but all of a sudden the writer uses his wit in such a way that we get startled, and we feel overjoyed, and we feel that this is the beauty of this story and the skill of the writer that has make them feel overjoyed. Now, some of the famous short story writers of the world. There are many from various continents, like Edgar Allan Poe, he's from America. Then from Russia, we have Anton Chekhov, Leo Tolstoy. Uh, I have read Leo Tolstoy's How Much Land Does a Man Need? That story is so uh, appealing and universal in its tone that everywhere it is this story is loved. I have what means whatever I have read many short stories, but this one is one among my favorites. Then we have O. Henry. His Gift of the Magi is very famous and we often find in the syllabus of various universities. Then Anton Chekhov is also there. Catherine Mansfield. Then we have Rudyard Kipling, Oscar Wilde, and in India, Khushwant Singh, Manohar Balgaonkar, and then Ruskin Bond. They are the famous short story writers, and they have established this genre in English literature because when we read stories written by them, we feel that apart from poetry, drama, novel, short story has its own existence. It is a different literary type, and even being short, it is so much appealing. Thank you very much for listening me carefully. I hope that in this lecture I have explained everything from the beginning to the uh, famous writers of the world and the definition and the major characteristics of short story. And in the end, I would like to tell you that uh, the short story becomes interesting when it incorporates all the elements which I have discussed. But in the same way, its charm can be enhanced with an attractive title also. And then the title should, from the very beginning, make us expect what we can see in the or what we can read in the short story. The Gift of the Magi, for example, is a title uh, that suggests a lot of things. The two lovers in the short story, they are foolish enough uh, to uh, to lose those things which they have. But even then, their gifts are even wiser than those given by the Magi. Then, second thing is the use of effective language, the clear point of view, and then a surprising or excellent end should be there in a short story. Thank you very much.